What's happening, guys? It's B-Rad from the FSB Creators, and I just wanted to come to you before the 3 Footies extra time episode to let you know about the FIFA 23 giveaway we are doing. So what has basically happened is, if you haven't already checked it out, you need to go and check out the YouTube series Pack to the Future on the FSB account. For those on YouTube, the links are down in the description there, but go and search FSB Creators over on YouTube and you should find the videos there. And basically what happened is, me, Luke and Mers all went head to head over the year with our pack luck, opening packs during the promos. Whoever got the best one managed to escape having to give away a copy of FIFA 23. Now, unfortunately, myself and Mers were the two losers, so we are combining our funds to provide you with a copy of FIFA 23. Now, obviously, it is currently the 12th of August as I am recording this, and as you will see this today. And we will obviously want to give you a copy before the 20th of August, so that you can have the option to obviously pre-order the Ultimate Edition and get all those lovely perks. So what is going to happen? We are going to run this giveaway for 5 days. There is going to be a YouTube video up going tonight, 7 p.m. on the YouTube channel, that will be the giveaway for FIFA 23. What we will be doing is we'll give you the funds, the wallet funds for your console for the standard edition, and then if you guys want to upgrade, you can obviously just add the little extra to upgrade onto your account to get Ultimate Edition pre-ordered for FIFA 23. Okay, so make sure you go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, turn the notification bell on as well, so that tonight at 7 p.m. when that video goes live, you can get in there, watch that video, follow the instructions, and make yourself entered into the giveaway. Let's just get into today's podcast episode. What up, FIFA Tears, and welcome to the 3 Footies podcast extra time, where we will be doing some of your questions and answering those. And also, our feature for the hot takes this week is going to be around the UCL. Now, I say we because obviously I'm joined by my fellow FSB creators, and that is Luke and Mers. How you guys doing?
I'm doing alright.
Not too bad.
It is hot. It's warm, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It is warm.
Roasty.
We've just got off the back of recording the podcast episode for this week. So if you haven't listened to that, then pause this now. Go listen to that, because obviously some of the things we want to talk about might refer back to that episode. So go and listen to that, then listen to this, then go to YouTube, drop a like on all our videos and all our socials, and follow us everywhere that you can. The first thing we're going to talk about is the UCL. So obviously it starts on, the group stages start September the 6th this year. And currently we're going through that kind of early phase at the moment, where there's some qualification groups still being on. So we've got the likes of Benfica, Dynamo Kiev, some other Rangers, Monaco, all in the sort of qualifications at the moment. So obviously they're trying to vie their way to get into the Champions League. And obviously, Luke, your team are vying for a Champions League title this year as well.
I mean, loosely use that word. Let's not pretend we're having a 2019 again. That's, I don't think, gonna happen. As much as I like the Spurs side and how they're doing, I don't think I'm gonna start suddenly being delusional and say, "Oh, 2019 time again, Champions League final." No, that's not on the cards.
A little bit more depth though this year.
Maybe a quarter final.
A little bit more depth to your squad though this year will certainly help. Do you think?
Oh, it will help, but Conte's not exactly been a Champions League manager. That's always my counter argument here. Is he went out to Spurs in the group stage, I think twice. When was it Inter? Maybe he might have won once. He might have still been.
I definitely remember the first. Yeah.
I think one was we knocked out Inter when we got to the final, and then I think a year later they're in our group again when we had Bayern Munich in the group. Got slapped 7-1 or 7-2. We got slapped and then still got out of the group ahead of Inter Milan. So yeah, he's never been the UCL sort of focused. So I don't think it's going to be a particularly strong strong showing. As I said, maybe a quarter-final if we're lucky. So I'm not going to hold out for much.
What about for yourself, Mez?
Well, Arsenal are going to get to the final and actually even win Champions League. There we go. That's my prediction right here. Now, in terms of realistically looking at some of the teams that are obviously qualified at the moment, Real Madrid have obviously always got to be a name that's mentioned for getting a Champions League title. They always show up in that tournament. I would say with the business that Bayern have done as well this summer, I think that's another sort of contender to be had. But I think the English clubs will definitely have a strong showing, I feel, for the latest stages of the Champions League. I'm going to say Chelsea get knocked out in the quarters this year.
Okay.
I feel Tottenham might probably be a sort of similar situation, and I think Manchester City probably going to fail in the semis, and I think Liverpool might be making their way to I feel I'm going to say them in the Champions League final again.
So you're going for a repeat of last season. So Chelsea go out in the quarterfinals, City losing the semi-finals. Is Real Madrid beating Liverpool again? Are we going for full repeat here, Maz?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say it's exactly as like last year. Yeah, full on.
Okay.
Interesting.
So you're basically going for a deja vu.
He's going full deja vu. Apart from he said Tottenham don't drop into the Europa League like. But did United drop into the Europa League last year? I can't even remember.
United?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
I fully forgot about that. I actually couldn't remember. No, they didn't. No, they got
No,
through.
they didn't. No, they didn't.
They topped the group.
They did get through.
Villarreal and Atalanta. That. Jesus.
Yeah, they did because Ronaldo saved them, didn't he?
He did, and then they went out to Atletico.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah, actually, that's nearly a nailed on. Apart from Spurs round of 16 would be the perfect. I do see City tripping up. I'm not going to say City to win as much as that's the almost obvious pick, but unobvious because they have such bad luck in the competition. I don't think Haaland's changing that as much as he's got a very good record, even dating back to the Salzburg days. I just don't see it.
I personally am gonna. Obviously, it depends on finishes in the group stages and things like that. But I'm going to go for an all-English Man City Liverpool final. So not a repeat of this year, but a repeat of 2 years ago.
That was Chelsea for Chelsea.
Oh, it was Chelsea, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so not a repeat of last year, but I feel like I know Haaland necessarily might not change things, but I just think maybe history might change things a little bit for Man City, and obviously it does depend on the draw a little bit in terms of what they come up against in the semi-final. But really, like, they shouldn't have been knocked out in the semi-final this year. Like that game was all but over if they'd have just been a little bit smarter in the way they played towards the end there, and
not taking off De Bruyne. That's all they needed to do.
Yeah.
Was not take off KDB.
So I don't think that they're I think that they'll improve on last year, and the only way they can obviously do that is get into a final. I fancy though, because I think I've given them the Premier League, if they can keep all of their team fit, so that they've obviously built on their squad depth a little bit this season, I feel like Liverpool this year might get a treble.
A treble.
Yeah. I think they'll win a domestic cup, and I think the Champions League and the Premier League.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a bold statement.
I think it's
considering
it is
the only
bold.
game, that's a bold statement.
Well, yes, obviously we're just off the back of them drawing 2-2, but
especially considering your opinion of Nunes. Well,
this is another thing that needs to be managed, I suppose, doesn't it? Does Klopp bring this bravado under control a little bit? I suppose we'll find out in the coming weeks. How do you do it? I mean, it's got to be done on the training ground and stuff beforehand, but do you also maybe not give him as much game time now? Do you maybe
he didn't start the game. He got brought on as a sub to then do that impact. So he did. But there's
also other people that can come on as well, isn't there? He's not the only person to come into that role.
I mean, isn't Jota still injured or still out for some reason? So who else is really through the mid? Yeah, that's why Jota wasn't. Anyway, I'm pretty certain he's still injured.
Okay.
So
then it's probably going to be managed on the training ground, and yeah, we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, the result is always going to take priority, isn't it? And if he thinks that bringing him on is what he needs, then he's going to bring him on. But he does need to just take a little bit of that immaturity out of him if he wants to kick on and be as instrumental in Liverpool's success this year as he maybe wants to feature. I mean, that's the thing. He needs to realise that he doesn't need to have all this to get his highest stats. As in terms of his own personal stats, they will just come if he just performs for the team. His own personal statistics will naturally will increase and be better if he just plays for the team rather than goes for the outrageous or the outlandish or whatever you want to call it.
But don't you feel like certain players, so I didn't say this in the ordinary podcast, but would you say that certain players almost need a certain type of swagger, a certain type of flair in their game? So Ronaldo without any swagger or flair, etc. Or Diaz in the same team. Diaz has got a lot of flair about him, does some interesting skills on the pitch. I see you mentioning Nunes, but I don't see you saying anything about Diaz and his flair and his swagger that he has when taking on players.
Oh, I'm not talking about just taking on players though necessarily. I think he shows a bit of arrogance almost about it as well, though, doesn't he?
That'll bring you back to Ronaldo when I say arrogance.
Well, it was more the fact that it was the type of shot Nunes was trying to do twice there, with once which actually resulted in the goal, but didn't because it was a deflected shot. But it was more the fact that it's like he was almost trying to go for. I suppose there's nothing wrong with trying to go for glory, right? But it was just like doing it in trying to embarrass the opponent, I guess, because he could have tried to go for the near post in shot, like with his left foot or something like that. I don't know what footing he is, but surely in that situation, a lot of players, they'll just try and go top left, or no, top right, but like sort of like tapping it upwards, so it sort of like eludes the goalkeeper a tiny bit. But he was literally trying to back heel it to like sort of make it curve in or something to the far post instead, and he failed the first time, and then it was like I'm pretty sure it was then the second shot he did exactly the same thing, but then got the rebound and the goal. And it's just like, mate, please, why are you doing that? Like, just try and use a bit more of your brain. Maybe it's just the inexperience coming through a little bit.
Well, especially when you're trying to get your team back into the game. Like, it's like, let's say there's going to be some of that kind of flair, pizzazz, whatever you want to call it, when you've scored, 1 or 2 goals, your team are 4 or 5-0 up or whatever. Maybe a little bit of showboating would be acceptable then. But you're trying to get your team back in the game against a Fulham, who have come out and absolutely taken it to you, and probably caught them off guard and whatever. But you still got to get back in the game. You still got to try and get your team some points at the end of the day. And so I think, like you say, if you try it once and you don't, and it doesn't come off, to then try it again, I think that's a little bit of immaturity.
A little bit, but I think you've got to have some of that as a part of your game. If that's who he is as a player, if that defines him as what kind of a player he is, then I think, personally, you don't want to take those kind of traits fully out of a player.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I agree with that. I just think that time and a place is definitely important. Like I say, if he'd have pulled that off for that second time and done exactly the same, not scored the goal when he could have just tapped it in, and then, that second goal goes in and Liverpool only win 2-1, and I think that sort of is something that probably features in a lot of headlines about, has he stopped them from winning the game from showing a bit too much flair.
I mean, at the end of the day, you look at some of the goals, like scorpion kicks and stuff like that, they're fine. But that's down to maybe the situation where the ball was. But I feel like in a team where you're going to have people that are doing passing in the right place, like they wouldn't have passed so that he can do that. They're passing so that he could simply use the inside of his left foot to try and put it into the back of the net. But he's going, nah, do you know what? I'll let it go slightly through my legs and then just go pew with the back of my right heel. I just don't see that often happening,
No.
And when or doing it twice in one game, should I say? If he left it just the once, I don't think I would have brought it up.
No, I think if he did it once, successful or not, you don't mention it, do you?
No, it's the fact that he tried to do it twice and he just got a bit lucky with the second attempt.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? Like, I think the reason we're talking about it as well is because it was that second one, however way you want to look at it, was still fortunate. It was still fortunate that it actually came off,
and it could have cost his team a potential loss.
Exactly.
In some ways.
Exactly. And then that's where I think, like, that's where it's then got to be managed, and you've got to then try and find that ground of, like, where do I like Luke says, where do I not stop this kid from doing the things that maybe have come naturally to him, because you don't want to take something out of him that maybe has made him as successful as he has been, or made him as promising as he is going to be. But you also want to make sure that he does know that at the end of the day, the team win is what is the most important thing. But yeah, either way, I think with their depth, I just think I see Liverpool winning multiple trophies, and yes, if they can maybe get him on board, although at some point, like I say, they will have Jota as well as Firmino as options in that role as well. So he's still got to realise that he is still going to be competing for his place this year. Nothing's set in stone just because you scored an assist against Fulham on the opening day of the Premier League.
Well, you got, was it 2 goals in the Community Shield? 1?
Yes, yeah.
He started well.
He has started well, and I'd certainly, even in a team where he's going to be rotated a fair amount, I still think he will get quite a few goals. We said this, didn't we, last time when we talked about the Premier League goal scorers and stuff. They're always going to be a team that their goals are sort of balanced across all the forwards. Mo Salah had a few more. I think we looked at about 4 more than the others, but generally that will be spread across that front three, whereas as we said, like a Haaland or someone will probably get, in my opinion, top goal scorer, because he will be Man City's main focal point for a striker this year. But yeah, I see that. So I think then maybe, yeah, like you say, I think it's kind of a bit of a same old story. I could see a Real Madrid get into a semis. I could see a Bayern Munich this year get into a semis as well, because they've obviously made improvements on their team this year, and had a very convincing opening day game against Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. It was like 5-1 at half time or something crazy.
Wouldn't know.
And I think they only end up winning 6-1 in the end. I say only, but given the half time result, you'd think that would have been could have been anything. But yeah, so I would say maybe a Liverpool, if a Liverpool Bayern Munich because I'd like to see Mane go against Liverpool. Just think that would be quite nice as a football non-team alleged fan. And then Man City versus Real Madrid, and I think they'd seal the deal this time, kind of get their revenge. Unfortunately, I don't see Chelsea this year doing as well in the league, let alone as well in the Champions League. I think they will scrape through to the round of 16, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're out in the round of 16.
So that's where I'm going to slightly differ from you. I'm going to say Chelsea. John, we call this hot takes, and you guys going fairly safe with those teams. I'm going to say Chelsea reach semi-final.
Oof.
Chelsea are suited to a competition like this. Only need one goal to win. They're a defensive team who will try and find a goal. They won't sit on said goal, but they don't. They are not a team that's currently all about hitting teams for 4-5, knocking them off the park. I think they're going to be one of those teams that just gets maybe a goal, maybe 2 goals, and will then be resolute defensively. I think they're going to be that kind of team that are just going to get through based off of those kind of results. They'll fall at the second to last hurdle, but I can see them getting a fair way through. A side that no one's mentioned yet, and I'm going to say them because we've not mentioned underachievers, Barcelona. I think they are... I almost want them to underachieve based off of how they've conducted themselves this window.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna forever say this, and I had a post come up recently about on Facebook, and I commented on it. I think Sport Bible maybe mentioned it, that Braithwaite. So he's waiting for. He's basically not refusing to kind of go easily because they will owe him. They owe him 2 years worth of salary as per his contract. And someone was saying, or it was saying in there about basically he's wealthy, so he is a what do you call it? Someone who has loads of properties, property developer, I suppose, or so he's got a lot of money. Basically, he's invested very wisely with his earnings over his career, and he doesn't need the money. But need doesn't mean that's the point. The point being that they owe millions. I think 17 million to De Jong I saw, and not to mention those others like PK and things. Yet still bringing in players, and I just find that whole the whole ethos of that just doesn't sit right. So yeah, I'm with you. I kind of want them to fall by the wayside, and I want them to struggle even to get top 3 in La Liga this year, and just kind of almost get given their just desserts.
Yeah, so I think they're going to go round of 16, honestly. That's where I want them to go. They went out, obviously, group stage last year to go into the Europa League. I can see them. I'm almost willing it to happen at this stage. Because you mentioned the deferred wages and stuff. I'm going to quickly take a bit back onto that because there was a development today with the Frankie de Jong situation. David Ornstein may or may not have put out something on Twitter as an exclusive saying Barcelona told de Jong on 15th of July, so about 3-4 weeks ago now, they have evidence of criminality around the contract given by the old board, and there's cause for legal action versus all involved. Barcelona have asked him to annul the deal and revert to his previous terms.
Okay.
So they practically are threatening de Jong at this borderline blackmail to take his old deal. Not so. This is. I don't even know where to begin. I saw someone classically put in a comment saying, "Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old," and they said it's like the teacher gave you all your milk at lunch, and they said if you drink your milk, you're expelled.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They will obviously have, their team of lawyers, whoever that might be, looking through every single answer paperwork they've got. I imagine to try and find loopholes here, because it might well save them millions of pounds. which they obviously don't have at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. It's just another thing, isn't it? At this point, they've obviously lost the respect of fans, I imagine, and a lot of the footballing world around them as well. Obviously, we know De Jong ended up not heading towards the Premier League like we were first thought. I don't blame him. I mean, he doesn't. He expressed that he didn't want to come, and it was a case of him being forced out due to the money situation there. But now, after being treated this way, you know, he's got to stand his ground, hasn't he? But you don't really want to be at a club like this now, I don't imagine.
Christ, no.
No.
So regardless of how this plays itself out, regardless of when this eventually settles, I imagine De Jong will find himself at a new club in the not so distant future. Whether it will be a Premier League club or not, it doesn't sound like it, if I'm honest, based on what his opinion of England, or certainly certain places in England where you might go to be in one of the top teams. But that is how it is. It's just how it is.
Mers, what's your... So we've got... I just wanted to quickly touch on Mers here. I feel he's not had a chance to say his underachievers, because you've mentioned Chelsea. I want to make sure, Mers, who's your, I guess, full-on underachievers.
I mean, I'm gonna say Chelsea as well, partially because I think they'll come second in a group and then get drawn against somebody big. But I'm gonna say probably what I feel like one of the Italian teams, but I'm trying to decide which of the Italian teams in particular it's gonna be. I'm gonna say Juve probably to underachieve again in the Champions League. I feel again this is a bit hard because also we haven't had a group stage draw, so you don't know what like the group of death's going to be like, because that's also another telltale sign of what could potentially be underachieving stuff. But I feel Juventus probably is going to be sort of like maybe another sort of underachieving sort of situation. I don't think you're going to see any of the Italian teams in the semi-finals for sure. You probably might see one in the quarterfinals, maybe, and maybe like three out of the four maybe get through to the round of 16.
What if I said to you then, the group of the death involves Chelsea? Do you see them getting second?
I see them potentially even getting third. If it's
same.
The group of death with Chelsea, because I just feel like, although yes, defensively they could be sound, but you know, if they are 1-0 down and they have to attack, where is that attacking like side gonna come from? Yes, they have Sterling and Verts and stuff, but without any true striker, or even like Mount will supply some of the attack and stuff, and maybe like that sort of like interlink between the defense and the attack. But again, I you look at Man City, you go Kevin De Bruyne, proper class. Like he can supply the goals and not supply the goals, supply the passes to the attackers. Yeah, he's the supplies. And then you like look at Liverpool all round, like the whole entire attack, and then you got Thiago in midfield, who's obviously a good playmaker and stuff. But I just look at Chelsea and I'm just like, where's the proper, true class playmaker within that team?
Yeah. No, I do know what you mean. I feel like they, like I say, we said in the previous thing, that they had a few, obviously, interceptions on some potential good transfers, or certainly improvements to their team that didn't obviously come off, and then with that they lost a lot of their kind of what their glue, I would say, was last year, like Rudiger for certain. Like the guy had a standout season for them. So yeah, I'm definitely, they are my pick, and I want to see, I'm intrigued to watch them and see how they progress, or how they find things, or whether they'll do what you said, Luke. Will they just keep scraping through on short little 1-0s, or will they come unstuck? It's going to be interesting. And I think I'm the same. I think group of death, they could find themselves third and struggling. But we do have a question put to us by one of our listeners around the UCL as well. So Venom posed the question that if you could have a choice, would you choose your team to win the UCL or your country to win the World Cup? Now, obviously, for you, Mers, this is a little bit different, isn't it? Because this isn't going to be your country in terms of where you live or your nationality, but it's going to be Spain. So, first of all, let's deal with the that sort of question. So you've got Arsenal to win the Champions League, or you've got Spain to win the World Cup.
Arsenal to win the Champions League, I feel, hands down. Yes, Spain win the World Cup would be nice, but just the fact that Arsenal have never won the Champions League, and it would be nice to have that coveted trophy in club football. Definitely would be a nice feeling, and to be able to say, yes, Arsenal have won a Champions League would be good. And also, because at the end of the day, financially for a club, the Champions League means so much as well, because winning the World Cup doesn't necessarily bring, other than glory to a nation, it doesn't necessarily change anything about that nation or anything like that. Whereas for club side of football, say winning it means that like you look a bit more attractive in the transfer market when you're going out signing players. The extra money again means that you can go out and get a slightly bigger player to bring in as well, so it can help improve the season next time out. You only just have to look at, say, Liverpool and stuff like that, and the fact that they normally haven't been making big signings, but obviously getting to the final, not necessarily winning it. They did win it a few seasons ago. It means that they could go out and get that 85 million Nunes and stuff. Whereas, would they been able to do that necessarily with if they say fallen in the quarterfinals or didn't win the FA Cup? Got to a maybe like fifth round of the FA Cup and get knocked out. Like getting to finals and winning things gives you more oomph in
definitely
in transfers and stuff. So Champions League all the way.
And that is it, isn't it? I suppose it's the I feel like we'll get an explanation as well, but I feel like we're going to get a similar answer from Luke. It's the elevation, I suppose, isn't it, that gives the club. It's not just a, like you say, the euthanasia of winning the UCL. It's also everything that then does for your future.
Euphoria, not euthanasia.
Euphoria. Yeah, not euthanasia.
Very different things.
Yeah,
two very different things.
Yeah, it does.
Euphoria.
Yep, euphoria. Yep, not the one that
Yep.
is something that they do to dogs and animals that are suffering. Yes. So I think it's that thing, isn't it? It sets you up for your future, certainly for that season going forward, and maybe even more, because like you say, if you attract a player, they don't tend to just sign for 1 year based on that you get them for a good couple of seasons at least, and then hopefully go on to win more trophies, UCL trophies as it is. So Luke, I like I said, I think we know the answer, but Tottenham to win the UCL or England to win the World Cup?
See, I love the World Cup, and I love sort of England to win something, but you're promising a Spurs fan a trophy of any kind. Like you could pretty much say FA Cup at this point. You could say League Cup, and I'll consider it. Like we're that desperate. Like to dangle the Champions League in front of a Spurs fan like a carrot. As much as I'd like, honestly, I've seen Spurs fans get tripped up on this question before. Like I don't know if you've seen Lee from AFTV when he said if Kane scored the winner in a World Cup, he wouldn't celebrate. And they normally come back with but if Sol Campbell scored one, would you celebrate? Oh, I'd run around the room with my top off. England winning a World Cup, England win a World Cup.
Yes.
But that being said, Spurs do need a trophy desperately. So I'm very much torn over this. You'd think it's easy. You'd think it's really easy. I think, do you know what? I'm actually going to go against what my gut said, and I'm going to say England to actually win a World Cup. I'm going to go with that instead. Yeah, as much as I'd love Spurs' guaranteed trophy, Spurs winning the UCL, whilst it would shut Arsenal up for a while, Chelsea have won 2. It would be big, but it wouldn't be like still Chelsea would have bragging rights and still bring that up. It wouldn't be an automatic conversation ender. It'd be a huge upset, but the genuine euphoria of England winning a major tournament.
Not euthanasia.
Not euthanasia. No.
Okay.
No, the sheer euphoria of it though.
Okay.
I think that'll be it for me. I think I'm gonna go with the all for one for all approach.
Fair enough.
Which shocks me myself.
This is obviously a lot easier for me.
Would you rather Chelsea win the Champions League, or would you rather?
Oh no, I was gonna say Norwich.
Oh no.
So, yeah,
no, you support
easy.
Chelsea when you need to.
It's easy. Norwich to win the Champions League without a doubt. No, I mean, yeah, no, obviously I don't support a team. Like we have alluded to in the past, I follow a team mainly. So I follow Norwich because obviously I live in Norwich or in and around Norwich, and my brothers growing up all supported Chelsea, so that's why I sort of tend to follow them, even though obviously I don't think they're destined for great things this year. But I don't have any affiliation to them, so it's fine. I can say that. But I will still obviously be speaking to my brother about that, and obviously we'll chat as that season goes on about them. But yeah, generally obviously I would want England to. I think like I've been abroad. So I was abroad in Greece when Greece won the Euros.
Really?
And it was fantastic.
That's even more of an underdog story as well.
Yeah, like I mean, they set the roads on fire. There was no way anybody in and around Corfu at that time thought they were getting any sleep that night, because it just was not going to happen.
And they wonder why they were in debt so soon afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably did put them into recession. And hey, we're version on one anyway, so we might as well win the World Cup now.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. In terms of riots and costs to pubs and things, that will take a lot of damages and things during that time, just because we're Brits and that's just how we act. Obviously, won't be ideal, but yeah, I remember. I think it was it the game? I think it was. No, I don't think it was the Croatia game. No, it might have been the Croatia game actually. When I remember anyway that I went to. I had my mate round here watching England. I don't think it was Croatia game because I'm pretty sure we won. And we went out to McDonald's. Other fast food chains are available, and saw a pub in a local town near me had some scaffolding kind of seating area that they built up ready for the competition, and had like a massive projector screen outside. And pre-game, we've obviously gone out to get our Mackies, and even with the music on in the car, you could just hear the chanting like from about half a mile away as you pulled up to it. And it was just like, we obviously turned the music off, got the windows open, and as we drove past it, like, it was just incredible. Like, the atmosphere of it was just incredible. So I can just like take that and times it by 100, just makes me excited for the prospect of England winning the World Cup.
Just being in the pub. So I was in my local football team's clubhouse, the one I played for, when Luke Shaw scored. That in itself is the moment that would pretty much be the same.
There's something about beer being spilled over you that's okay during that time.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and hoping that it is definitely beer. The only other question we have for today is from Roman. Now, I'm not going to say the question. I'll let Mers say it, because Mers, you said that like there's a kind of a specific part or reason as to why this question's been asked, or a comment that he has made when asking said question. So, yeah, what is this question from Roman?
Okay, so Roman has asked, what is our favourite Marvel movie? So this would be MCU movies, and then he's put a statement after it, and why is it Morbius? Now, I've got to say straight away, Morbius isn't technically a MCU movie. It does have Vulture in it at the end, like as an after credits scene, I believe. I haven't actually watched the movie because the reviews did not tempt me, and neither did the trailers. But yeah,
re-released 3 times.
Yes, it's a Sony movie. It's not an actual Marvel developed movie. Is why I see it. Yes, it's a Marvel property and stuff. But when you say Marvel movie, I visualize the Disney stuff, the MCU. You know, from Iron Man, or even I think did the
Iron Man
Incredible
was the
Hulk
first
come
one.
out beforehand?
I think the official first MCU movie was
Iron Man.
Yeah, was Iron Man.
Yeah, and then everything up to what we've had, Thor: Love and Thunder, which is the latest one. So now the question is, how much of these movies have you actually seen? Like, have you seen all of the Marvel movies?
No.
So I've seen. We watched during lockdown. Maybe we watched everything from, from the first one all the way through to, we stopped. Although I have seen obviously films since then. We stopped with the last Avengers film.
Okay.
So literally watched them all through, all the way. Yeah. So watched them all through all the way to Endgame. And then obviously I've seen some since then, which is where my answer is actually going to come from. But yeah, so I have seen everything that was there in the order that was suggested online.
Okay. So
I've watched some. I've picked and chosen.
All right. So we'll go with your answer first, then, Luke, based off of the ones that you have seen. Then, if you haven't seen, because
ones that stick out to me, I did love Avengers Assemble. That I watched in the cinema in 2012. Got some good memories of that. That was back when I had a girlfriend, so that was good. That was a good start. Great start there.
Yeah.
Things fell off a little bit. And yeah, I think my other answer, my actual favourite one.
That's got me. That's got me. That has got me.
Just gonna give this a minute. And the actual answer I'll give is Thor Ragnarok. I think's my favourite one. I did like the comedy in the film. It's almost Hemsworth and Hiddleston worked so well together in that. In terms of comedic acting at certain points, little things. It's hard. I can't really describe it, but yeah, certain little parts of it I just loved.
Wow. Okay.
I've not watched many, as I said, so.
No, I know. But I feel like one of them that you've not mentioned, you definitely would have watched, but I'll touch on that in a second.
I think I know what that is, but still, I'll let you take the floor then.
Go on then, Brad. What's yours? Because you said it's post Endgame, so I have a feeling I know which one you're going to say.
Yeah.
So
my without a doubt. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll go back from third to first because you probably do know what my first is going to be. Wow, what a pack, by the way. I just opened the Foundations pack and got Jack Grealish and Terrier as well in that pack.
I did this player pick and got Lafont.
So my third favourite is going to be Venom.
What?
Now I need to sort of give you a kind of, I suppose, a bit of a insight or background into this, and it is because he's actually one of my favourite characters of the Marvel Universe. So even though I feel like there was potential to improve on that movie or that generally, it's more him. It's more the character. I didn't so much like the comedy in it. I would like to have been a bit darker, and I hope if they do look to remake it in the future, they go that way. But yeah, it's just as a character, I really love Venom. For some reason, I've always really liked him. I don't know whether it's part of the A-level graphic design student in me that just liked him in that sense. He just looked cool. But there's something that always draws me to him, so that's my third favourite. But in terms of like, with that all aside, second is Deadpool. For me, like Ryan Reynolds and that was just made for him. That character was made for him, and I absolutely love Deadpool. I watched it when it first came out. I watched it so many times I couldn't even tell you how many. I didn't as much like the second one, but the first one I thought was phenomenal. Then my favourite one is actually because of a little bit of nostalgia, because I watched it on my birthday, because I watched it with my wife, not my girlfriend at the time, is Spider-Man No Way From Home.
Okay.
I've liked all the new Spider-Mans with Tom Holland anyway. I think he's that style of Spider-Man. I think he's been perfect for it. But it's just that bit, bringing back like the Tobey Maguire, the other guy, I can't remember his name. Andrew Garfield. Yeah. That whole scene and just kind of the feel of that movie, just like gave me that like nice warm nostalgia feel. Unfortunately, Roman, I haven't seen Morbius, so I can't even comment on that movie for you, even though it's not technically an answer for the question you've given us.
I don't believe Deadpool is either. I don't believe Deadpool's MCU. The actual movie
not
itself.
I mean, Deadpool can become MCU. It's sort of similar situation to like the old Spider-Man movies, like because they technically were originally non-MCU, but now that they featured in the MCU, you class those as MCU movies now? I mean, multiverse-wise, yes, I suppose so. Similar to the Venom, because you said Venom, but I've put down 2 non-MCU movies that you basically said for the second and third.
So No Way Home's the answer.
Yeah. But No Way Home you can definitely have. But because, again, Venom features in No Way Home. So, again, does that now class as an MCU movie or not? But it is a Sony-owned movie, basically. Because that's why they made Venom in the first place, is so that they can still expand like the Spider-Verse, basically, because that's all they have is the rights to any Spider-Man based characters. But for me, I would probably agree that Spider-Man No Way Home has to be number one. It's the best, basically. It's just because of that pure fact of bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, I think, is a bit underrated. I know that those movies get slammed heavily, but I actually think they're not as bad as what people make them out to be.
I thought the one with Jamie Foxx was brilliant.
I mean, it has its faults. There's no denying that. It has its faults, but yeah, even that one isn't quite as bad as what people make that out to be. Solid story, well, not necessarily solid story. It has its points. It's probably a little bit bloated, shall we say? Like if you took out parts of it, like say the Rhino and stuff, and didn't try to set up the Sinister Six elements with it, I think it would have been perfectly fine as a movie. Yeah. But I think it just over bloated itself and then killed itself off because of it. But for me, I think the thing with the MCU, as time goes on, like the quality of it gets better and better, I feel.
Yeah.
Second place for me is The Winter Soldier. Captain America:
Okay.
The Winter Soldier, because I think as a spy thriller, absolutely wonderful. The pacing of the movie, and generally speaking, that's the same with like a lot of the MCU movies. But just love going back watching that movie time and time again. I can't get bored of that movie, and I think, to be fair, where the MCU is going as well is quite good. Like, for instance, not even talking about some of the programs as well. Like, the programs on Disney Plus are quite top tier as well. I can't say that they've created a bad one yet. I mean, Miss Marvel for me is being the weakest out of them, because I feel it's more a teeny, like more aimed towards the teens than it is like to the general audience, like most of the others. But Loki, Captain, Winter Soldier, and Falcon, great one as well. It's just pretty much top tier. And then obviously the X-Men now eventually going to be entering it, and the Fantastic Four, because of the fact that they've brought 20th Century Fox. So the future for the MCU is just going to get even better.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that stuff will now turn to like Disney Plus. I think there'll be a lot more like series as well as movies. Like, I think we'll see a lot more extensions of movies in the form of a series as well. I think that seems to be the way they like to go. Like, it gets more viewer retention, I suppose, maybe, rather than just one sort of box office smash.
Well, that's what they're doing with Star Wars, another
Yes,
property that I absolutely love.
But we have digressed away from Roman's question. Essentially, Roman, I apologise. I answered your question in a way that you presented the question with a non-MCU answer, although my favourite one is definitely Spider-Man No Way From Home, based on the nostalgia of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire turning up in that episode, for sure. If you do want to submit any questions for us, guys, for the podcast, then please do look to join our Discord. Our link in that will be down in the description of the YouTube version of this, or you can go over and follow us on Twitter there, and you can slide into our DMs and ask us some questions there, or comment on some of our latest posts. And what I will say for this week as well, if you are still looking for a copy of FIFA 23, due to one of the series that we had on the YouTube channel, me and Mersgoth are giving away a copy of FIFA 23 to our viewers. There will be a video going up at the end of this week to give you guys a chance to get it before the Ultimate Edition comes out. So we will be probably just giving you some credit towards the credit to the amount of the base version of FIFA, but obviously if you want to then top it up to get Ultimate Edition, we will make sure that we get that giveaway done and dusted by the 20th of August, which is obviously when the final day to pre-order and get all those lovely extras that you'll get for FIFA 23. So make sure you are following us on YouTube, you are subscribed to the channel, because there will be a video goes up that will have information in it on what you need to do to basically take part in that giveaway. Obviously, we've had a little bit of discussion around the UCL, a bit of discussion around Marvel. Let us know some more comments down below about what you think your favourite Marvel film is, whether it be whether it be MCU or whether it's Sony. Let us know just who your favourite Marvel film is. Thank you ever so much to Luke and Mers for joining us on Extra Time.
No problem.
And we will catch you guys for the next instalment of the 3 Footiers podcast, which will be out next week. I've been B-Rad. Thanks for tuning in.
See ya.
Peace out, guys.